We start with NBC's Shaquille Brewster on the trail in New Hampshire and Washington Post chief correspondent Dan Balls. So, Shaq, you're in a Trump 2016 stronghold. What are voters telling you today?
Andrea, they're saying that they're planning to stick with the former president. You mentioned this is a Trump 2016 stronghold. This is a place that helped fuel his first big win in the 2016 cycle. And I almost crashed a conservative grassroots breakfast gathering that was happening here yesterday to talk to many of the folks here about why they're sticking with him in face of all those attacks. You know, Nikki Haley is ramping up her attacks against Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis using policy against Donald Trump. And I've been asking, why aren't those attacks landing? Listen to what they told me. Why President Trump?
Well, when he was president, he fixed the economy. We did very well under President Trump.
On the policy that Ron DeSantis brings up, the wall, not repealing Obamacare, not being an effective legislator.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But you can always say something like that. If anything, Trump got more of the wall done than any other president.
I want a closed border. I want to feel safe again. And I want to enforce law and order of the land.
Did you ever consider any of the other candidates in this primary?
I haven't considered anyone until Donald Trump walked down that elevator in 2015.
And that just gives you a sense of how strong his support is among his key supporters. Now, the key thing here in New Hampshire is that it's not just his strong supporters. You mentioned you also have those undeclared, registered undeclared voters, independents as they're known in most parts of the country, who have the option of picking up a Republican primary ballot. There you see Nikki Haley doing well among them, but you see that gap is not as wide as perhaps she would want it to be. And then there's another nugget that we saw in the poll, and it's enthusiasm. What's driving Haley's likely voters? And you see among the majority of the people who are saying in polls that they're backing Nikki Haley, a majority of them are saying that they're doing so because they're against Donald Trump, Andrea.
So, Jack, thank you. And Dan Balls, let's talk about this. From all your experience in New Hampshire, how are you assessing this? Does Nikki Haley still have a chance to do, what John McCain did, what Paul Tsongas did? He defeated Bill Clinton in 1992, although people remember the way Clinton clearly said that he was the victor and changed the whole narrative. But underdogs have traditionally had a real chance there.
Yeah, that's true. And, we can go all the way back to Gary Hart in 1984, who got 17% of the vote in Iowa to Walter Mondale's 49%. And everybody said Walter Mondale was unstoppable. And Hart literally came almost out of nowhere and surged in the final weekend and overtook Mondale. And that fight went all the way into June before Mondale finally wrapped it up. But I think we're in a different position here with Nikki Haley. I mean, she's got clearly an uphill battle here. And I think the main reason is Donald Trump's hold on the Republican Party, and not just the core base, but on Republican voters generally. She does well, obviously, among independents or unaffiliated voters, as they're called here. But she would need literally a historic turnout among independents in a Republican primary in order to have a real chance to win. And I think that that's the question. And as you noted, she's been getting some criticism for kind of the pace of her activity this week. And I think she's got to step that up, as she started to do today. But there's not a lot of time left. And the energy and the enthusiasm that we have seen in past both Democratic and Republican campaigns doesn't seem to exist here this weekend.
She's also been still trying to clarify the remarks she made about the cause of the Civil War and that America has never been a racist country. Here's how she tried to explain herself again last night on CNN.
When you look at said all men are created equal, I think the intent was to do the right thing. Now, did they have to go fix it along the way? Yes, but I don't think the intent was ever that we were going to be a racist country.
That, of course, with Jake Tapper last night, the town hall also in December. She said this when asked about the cause of the Civil War.
I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
In the year 2023, it's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you can answer my question. Thank you.
Dan, is that still an issue there with independents or, unaffiliated voters?
Well, Andrea, it's hard to tell exactly how much that is an issue, but I think it's indicative of one of the criticisms that I've heard about Nikki Haley over the past week, and that is that she is being tentative. She is suggesting that she's speaking hard truths, but not necessarily doing so. She's got a tendency not to want to offend anybody. She's been tentative in her criticism of Donald Trump. She's been careful or flubbing those questions on the question of the Civil War, as she did in that town hall meeting recently. So it's part of the question about what kind of candidacy does she have, and can she generate the enthusiasm behind her candidacy to get her where she needs to be here. And as you all noted this morning, a second place here is not good enough for her, because that would put her in, heading into South Carolina, where Donald Trump is very strong, despite the fact that it's her home state.
And how big a role will Democrats trying to make mischief with the Republican campaign play? Do you have any sense of how many Democrats are actually crossing over, pre-registering as Republicans?
Well, the 4,000 number is the one that we know exists, and that cutoff happened some time ago. And so I don't think Democrats are going to be that big a factor. It really is a question of whether she can get the unaffiliated voters strongly on her side, and that has to be her focus this weekend.